Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into an incredible story, a timeless one really, about how a single torn shirt becomes the ultimate test of truth. It's this powerful narrative about integrity, about false accusations, and how the smallest, most overlooked detail can literally change everything. So let's get right into it.
It's a great question, right? How can a simple piece of clothing, a torn shirt, prove someone's innocence? Well, the answer is at the heart of this really tense moral drama, where this everyday object becomes the key to untangling a web of lies. So, how does it actually work? Let's find out.
Okay, so first, let's set the scene. Our story centers on the prophet Yūsuf, who you might also know as Joseph. We meet him just as he's reaching manhood, that pivotal time in life where the very core of his character is about to be put to a defining test. And this isn't just about him getting older. The story makes it really clear that when he reached full maturity, we're talking physically, mentally, and morally, he was given the tools he would need from God for the huge challenges that were just around the corner. He was gifted with two things specifically: hook, which is this amazing capacity for sound judgment and wisdom, and ilm, which is this deep knowledge and ability to see things clearly. Now, these weren't just skills he picked up. They were understood as divine gifts that gave him this exceptional moral clarity. They were preparing him to act with integrity, no matter what. And boy, was he going to need that wisdom. We now get to the core conflict of the story, a moment where Yusuf's character is tested in the most intense, private, and high-pressure situation you can imagine. So the wife of his master, she makes a very, very calculated move. The text says she secured the home. Think about what that means. She locks all the doors. This isn't just about privacy. It's about isolating him, trapping him, and creating this bubble of intense pressure. And then her invitation, it's just so blunt. There's no room for misinterpretation at all. It's a powerful command, especially when you think about the power dynamic between them. This was designed to just overwhelm his resolve while he's completely cornered.
But Yusuf's refusal is immediate, and it's incredibly layered. It's fascinating. First, he immediately seeks spiritual protection. He turns to God. Second, he appeals to a sense of social honor, reminding her of her husband's kindness and the trust he's placed in them. And third, he states a universal moral truth, that wrongdoing, in the end, never ever leads to success.
Now, the story is very honest about how difficult this moment was. It says he was strengthened by a burhan, which means a divine proof or a clear sign from his Lord. This intervention, whether you see it as a powerful inner conviction or some kind of clear vision, was absolutely critical. It's what fortified his resolve and kept him from making a truly terrible mistake. And just like that, the internal struggle explodes into frantic action. The whole pace of the story just picks up. Yūsuf makes his choice. He has to get out of there. And that decision leads to this desperate race for the door, which is about to become a very, very public confrontation. This sequence of events is just chaotic. He runs, she chases. As they're both scrambling for the door, she lunges for him, grabbing his shirt from behind. And in that struggle, it rips. And this tiny detail, the fact that it was torn from the back, is about to become the single most important piece of evidence in this entire story. And right as they burst through the door, who do they find standing there? Her husband. In an instant, this private crisis has become a public one. The stakes just got a whole lot higher. Now listen to her immediate reaction. It's incredible. Before Yūsuf can even say a word, she completely seizes control of the narrative. She doesn't just accuse him, she theatrically demands his punishment, instantly framing him as the villain to save herself. And this is where the story pivots so brilliantly. The whole he said, she said drama is suddenly pushed aside by a moment of pure logic and investigation. One piece of fabric, that torn shirt, is about to speak louder than anyone in the room. In stark contrast to her elaborate, dramatic accusation, Yūsuf's defense is so simple and direct. He doesn't panic, he doesn't add a bunch of details, he just states the plain, unvarnished truth. And then something totally unexpected happens. A witness, a member of her own household, steps forward. And this person doesn't take sides. Instead, they introduce pure logic into this incredibly emotional and tense situation, proposing a simple test to discover the truth. The logic this witness proposes is just genius in its simplicity. They basically say, look, Just examine the shirt. If it's torn from the front, that means he was advancing on her and she was defending herself. In that case, she's telling the truth. But if it's torn from the back, that means he was trying to flee and she grabbed him to stop him. And in that case, he's the one telling the truth. It's flawless logic. So, the stage is set. The test has been proposed. The evidence is about to speak for itself. But as we're about to see, proving what's true and actually resolving the conflict, well, those are two very different things. The husband goes over, he examines the shirt, and there it is. The tear is on the back. The physical proof perfectly corroborates Yūsuf's story. His innocence is at this point undeniable. He turns to his wife, and it's clear he sees right through her deception. He calls out her plot, acknowledging just how manipulative and grand her scheme was. He knows exactly what happened. But his response isn't so simple. It's actually really complicated. To Yūsuf, he says, ignore this. He's basically asking him to keep quiet to avoid a public scandal. It's damage control. And then to his wife, he says, ask forgiveness for your sin, which is a clear admission that he knows she's the guilty one. So think about this for a second. Yūsuf is proven innocent by hard evidence, but the truth is basically contained within the walls of that house. This private verdict is far from the end of his story. In fact, the social fallout, the rumors, the whispers, they're all just getting started, and they're setting the stage for the next chapter of his trials. And this really leaves us with a timeless and maybe frustrating question. As this story shows so powerfully, even when hard evidence makes the truth undeniable, public perception and a person's reputation can take on a life of their own. It's a powerful reminder of that deep, deep gap that can exist between what is known to be true and what people ultimately choose to believe.